What's up, guys? Spin Firearms here, and if you've ever watched this channel before, you know there tends to be a theme. I like handguns that are small, reliable, and I also like calibers that tend to have a little bit more power than 380 and 9mm. Now, don't get me wrong, most of my carry handguns are 9mm, but I also carry 40 often and 357 SIG. I also carry 45 ACP. I think they're all great rounds. They all have their place, and they all can get the job done. But today, we're going to be talking about my favorite handguns that are chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson. But before we get started, hit the like button, please. Drop a comment down below and subscribe. Tell me what you carried today, what kind of holster, what kind of defensive ammo. Also, comment anything about these handguns you want, whether you like the build, don't like the build, don't agree with me, and so on. It all helps the channel. Now let's get into it. My favorite handguns in 40 are, as you can probably see from the table, the Glock 27. The Glock 27 is one of the most versatile handguns in the world, and all these are pretty versatile because you can convert all of these to 9mm, you can convert all of these to 357 SIG. You can also convert the 27 to 22 long rifle with a kit. So that makes it a very versatile handgun considering all the magazine options that come from Glock. You can have this thing running 20 plus rounds flawlessly, and that's absolutely amazing out of a 3.5-inch barrel and a little tiny package like this. Now, people always comment on this backplate, the Baby Shark one, and it's because the Glock 26, 27, 28, 33, and 39 are technically considered the baby Glocks. They were given that name a long time ago, as these handguns have been around 30 years. Or sorry, guys, 30 years. 30 years. These handguns have been around almost 30 years now. Sorry about that. And the reason I named it that is because it has a ton of bite, right? There is some recoil. There's a lot of power behind this round. And being in the small handgun, I thought the Baby Shark backplate was very, very fitting. Also, reminds me of my children, because I absolutely love that. Whose kids don't like Baby Shark? And I'll just show off my other Glock 27 that I have on the table. I have one more Glock 27 in the safe right now. Don't know why I didn't get it. But this is one of my main carries. This is one that I carry the most. KKM precision barrel, millspin backplate, millspin base plate, 3-dot Ameriglow sights. The two are yellow tritium and the front is green tritium. All silver or stainless steel pin kit, ghost teardrop, maybe, I think it's a drop, you'll find it, the ghost extended slide stop, Nvoke, that's Nvoke. He makes awesome parts for Glocks. That's a takedown lever, and it works really nice. It's for people who work with their hands like I do. It's very hard sometimes when you're in pain and stuff like that to take down handguns. I know you guys are going to say, oh, you're weak, you're lame, you're a sissy. No, guys, I just use my hands a lot, and I have a lot of pain in my hands from my job and my career. So plumbing will do that to you. And also an avalanche arm stainless steel guide rod just to pull off the overall stainless steel look of this thing. Talon grips that were just at my range, nothing special, but they just work great. And this handgun is exactly how I carry it. 9+1, I don't care about having a 3-finger contact. I shoot this thing great with 2 fingers. It is an awesome handgun. Love the Glock 27. Last but not least, here's another Glock 27 build I have. This one's simple. This is just, I call it my everyday carry build, right? Handle, edge, shears, grips, 13+1 setup of 40, TLR 6, KKM precision barrel again because they're fully supported chambers in 40, and then I believe it's a Suarez International slide, and then 3-dot Ameriglow sights as well. So absolutely love the Glock 27. That is my go-to. Next up is going to be my Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. And the reason why I like this handgun so much is it's chambered in 40, so you have all that power. You have a little bit longer barrel. I think this is 3.5 or 3.6-inch barrel. I love the stainless steel. It looks absolutely beautiful. It looks classic. It looks timeless. And it also comes with a rail, so you have many more light options for the M&P 40C. Now, technically, this is their subcompact. Smith & Wesson has just had issues with naming their handguns, and it's very confusing. When I called KKM Precision about getting a conversion barrel for this, they even said the same thing. They're like, Smith & Wesson confuses the crap out of people. It makes it very hard for people to select the right barrel. But this is what would be considered today their subcompact. It will fit in the same holsters as the subcompact Smith & Wessons. And the reason I like this so much is that recoil, like I was talking about. The recoil is beyond minimal, and that's because of that big, heavy, thick slide. Now, is it too heavy for carry? No, not at all. This thing is still very manageable. It feels top heavy unloaded, or even when you use Civil Liberty defense rounds, but when you're shooting, man, is this thing smooth. And when you rack that slide, it's like butter. It's flawless. I absolutely love the M&P 40C. And it's very hard to find these nowadays, but you can find law enforcement trade-ins, and that's where I got this. I bought this thing used for $300 flat, and I trust my life with this, and I could use this handgun the rest of my life, and I'd be perfectly happy with this being my only handgun. It is an awesome, awesome shooter. And once again, 40 Smith & Wesson out of a Smith & Wesson. What's better, guys? Then after that, I am going to have to go with my HK P2000 SK. Now, this is a handgun that took me a little bit of time to get used to shooting. The overall ergonomics are a little different because your two fingers get locked in, your pinky hangs outward, but it really does lock in those fingers, and it actually feels pretty good once you get used to it. Now, the grip angle is much different than that Smith & Wesson and that Glock. As you can see, it's very straightforward. It's closer to a 90-degree angle when you look at it like this, but very easy to shoot. This is another one of those handguns, very thick, heavy slide, but HK just did an amazing job with the recoil control and the recoil impulse of this handgun. The recoil is very manageable, but like I said, if you're not used to a DASA handgun, double action, single action handgun, it takes some time getting used to. Now, the way I carry this is decocked. That first trigger pull is so dang light, crisp and clean. So I carry it with that double action because there is no safety on this handgun. Like I said, it is so light. It has a paddle mag release, so no undercut for the fingers. I think if they would have had a little bit of an undercut and used a button release, then you'd be able to get more, your fingers in there more comfortably. But like I said, it works just fine. Texturing is terrible on the sides, but awesome where you really need it, which is the back and the front. As you can see, it has like sandpaper texturing. Absolutely great. Comes with a rail, and I got this for $500 with 6 mags. And that's because there's a rebate going on for 4 mags. And so when you get 6 mags for $500 with an HK tests majority of their products using 40 Smith & Wesson. So you really know that this thing is going to handle it, take the beating of 40, and just last a lifetime. So I absolutely love my HK P2000 SK. We'll be doing a 1,000 round review once I hit it. I'm nowhere near it right now, but we'll get into that once I'm there. Great handgun. Next up is probably going to be my Glock 23. Now, I have these in the order that I like them, but there's nothing wrong with any of these. I wouldn't own them if I didn't like them. They're all easy to shoot, easy to maintain, simple, and so on. So I really enjoy them. This is a Glock 23. So this is a compact similar to the size of a Glock 19, actually the exact same size as a Glock 19. What I like about having the 27 and the 23 is all the 23 mags will work in your 27 and so on. So that's awesome to have magazine compatibility. Also, the internals are basically all the same, so you can just use the internals. The only difference is the barrel and the guide rod because they have to be longer. But having that compatibility, if crap ever hits the fan and so on, it's just a great thing to have. It's just something to think about for everyone because you never know. You can also buy part kits for Glocks so easily, OEM parts kits for relatively cheap. You can always keep them as backups because once you put a lot of rounds through them, and you're carrying those firearms, you might want to swap them out as you get into those tens of thousands of rounds, right? But this right here is mainly a woods carry for me. This is a nighttime woods carry, a nighttime shooting, and so on setup. This is also a home defense setup for me. I love the power of 40. I just think it's one of the greatest rounds, and I actually love the fact that people go away from it because that leaves more on the table for us, and they're not going to get rid of 40. Too many people have 40s. Too many people like 40, so they're not going to be going anywhere. So when crap hits the fan or ammo is no longer available, it tends to be more 9mm more than anything, and 40 tends to be around. It's still not as plentiful as like 357 SIG during those times because no one has 357 SIG handguns anymore, but it's still going to be decent to find. So I really like that about 40. But the Glock 23, can't go wrong with. Super reliable handgun. Awesome setup. Nothing more to say about that. Last but definitely not least, I love this handgun. This is my Smith & Wesson M&P Performance Center Shield. This is chambered in 40 as well. I threw some grips on it because the recoil is pretty decent, and since this is a 1.0, it has no texturing whatsoever. So I believe these are Handled Elite Series, and man, do they look nice and feel really, really nice. Now, things I love about this handgun is you can throw it in a pocket. It's an awesome light carry option, but you're still getting that power. It also comes with awesome fiber optics 3-dot sights, and I always, debate should I swap them out for tritium sights, but I actually really like these sights. I really go out at night. I really go out in the dark, so I absolutely love those sights. No issue with them. Doesn't come with a rail, but that's fine for me because I don't carry this with a rail anyways. I wouldn't put a light on there, even if I had the option, so it is what it is. Manual safety, didn't have an option because I bought this thing for $300 used, and I bought it used without probably a single box of ammo through it. I guarantee they went to the range, shot one box, and was like, oh my goodness, too much recoil. Got rid of it because this thing was flawless when I found it. So, absolutely love this thing. And the porting is the last thing we'll touch on. The porting is great on this setup because the ports, I have a video of me shooting this on my channel if you want to check it out. The flames and the gases go here, and the flames and the gases go here. It goes out at these like 45-degree angles, therefore leaving your vision wide open. So if there is a target coming at you, your gases and your flames aren't going to get in the way of your vision. And that's huge for me if I am going to have a ported handgun. And also what I like about this is it's not aftermarket ports, it's not an aftermarket compensator, doesn't add any length to it, anything like that. So you know this thing is just going to run smooth as can be because this is how it was designed from the factory. Also the trigger on it's really nice because it is the performance center, so that's another thing I forgot to mention. But 7+1 of 40, awesome little pocket rocket, awesome little light carry option that still has that, you know, that kick, that power, you know, so absolutely love 40. And last thing we're going to talk about 40 is a little story. I like telling this story because it always makes me wonder. Now this is a rare situation, but I actually know a police officer personally, and a couple years ago when there's all the crap about the police, she was actually attacked just for being a cop, and she was actually being stabbed and attacked, and her Glock 23, her main, you know, law enforcement duty weapon, got out of the fight because she was attacked out of nowhere. Therefore, the handgun was gone. It was on the floor 10 and 15 feet away from them, and it was just them. So what did she do? She reached down to her ankle holster, picked out her backup, which was this right here, a Glock 27. And while being stabbed, she let off 8 rounds, and it took all 8 rounds in order for the attack to stop. That person did not stop until 8 rounds of 40 were put in them from close range. That's a scary thought. That just makes you wonder, how did they keep pressing forward? How did they keep going? But that's the thing. When someone's under the influence or, you know, just is psychotic or having a mental break, they can get through some of those rounds. So just something, you know, to think about. But the power of 40 is exceptional. Chances are you'll never run into that issue. Hopefully no one ever has to use their handgun in self-defense, but the world is getting crazy, so you never know. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.